Well, blinking ink. I came across a guy a couple of weeks ago. I was taking his wedding service and he turned up at church an hour and a half early. And I said, blinking ink, you're keen. But he just couldn't wait to be married to the woman that would enter the church 15 minutes late. When she did enter the church, oh my goodness, she was stunning, and it was written all over their faces that they were madly in love. And this is the beginning, a new beginning of their life together, isn't it? Marriage. But what did they hope to gain from their married life? Well, love. I hope all of you have got love on your mind firstly. But there is security and hope and faithfulness, truth and trust, loyalty and devotion. And I'm sure there are many, many similar words that you can think of. And this passage in Mark's Gospel gives us a picture of a wedding. Now, John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting. Some people came and asked Jesus, how is it that John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees are fasting, but yours are not? Jesus answered, how can the guests of the bridegroom fast while he is with them? They cannot, as long as they have him with them. But the time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them, and on that day they will fast. I hope you agree. But Jesus calling himself bridegroom, isn't that of great comfort? Bridegroom is far more intimate, far more personal than king and subject, master and servant, teacher and student, or shepherd and sheep. A bridegroom, well, we know there is a deep sense of love. He is waiting for the bride who he loves. The relationship between bridegroom and bride, that's a close union, isn't it? They are preparing for their life together, for the rest of their life. Bridegroom gives us a picture of the closeness that Jesus has with his bride. But who is his bride? Well, as a believer in his life, his death, his resurrection, as a believer in his sovereignty, his kingship, being part of his church, I am. We are a bride of Christ. All those who call themselves Christians and are part of the church are the bride. And as a bridegroom, Jesus offers love and security, hope and faithfulness, truth and trust, loyalty, devotion. He offers us himself. He says that there is nothing that he has that you cannot gain. If you have chosen to live a life for Jesus, there is nothing that he has that you cannot gain. The Christian and Jesus cannot be separated. We will be together in the new heaven and the new earth. Never again will you go out of my presence, says Jesus. Now, is that awesome or a little bit terrifying? But after all, this is Jesus, the creator of the universe, who says, I will never leave your side. But if we're honest, aren't there times in your life, things in your life that you don't want Jesus to see? We are in the presence of the bridegroom, so therefore we must expect there to be a wedding. A wedding is where people celebrate, and in the days of Jesus, that would be a week-long celebration. Not just the family, but the village also. Friends and guests were responsible for nothing else other than to enjoy the celebration. Think about the weddings you've been to. Food and drink for everyone to enjoy. Singing and dancing and laughter and everyone having a fabulous time. In the time of Jesus, even the rabbis were expected to enjoy the party. And there was actually a Jewish rule that said all in attendance of the bridegroom were relieved of the religious observances which would lessen the joy. Then, as now, a wedding is a time of great celebration. Some people came to Jesus and asked, how is it that John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees are fasting, but yours are not? Jesus answered, how can the guests of the bridegroom fast while he is with them? If you are in the presence of the bridegroom, any thought of fasting is completely out of the question. The rules about fasting are just another good example of what the Pharisees had done with the law that God had set down. According to Old Testament teaching, there was 1 day of fasting per year, the Day of Atonement, the day when the high priest would slaughter a goat as a sin offering. The blood would be sprinkled onto the ark as an offering to God for the forgiveness of sins. But the Jews, they've added many more days of fasting to their calendar. They fasted for anniversaries, for mourning, in memory of tragedies in their history. They've even got into the habit of fasting every Monday and Thursday. So, of course, in the minds of the people who ask the question, Jesus and his disciples should be fasting. But Jesus didn't let the disciples fast, because that would be like us being at a wedding and not eating the food, and like that's ever going to happen. The disciples were with Jesus in person, the bridegroom. This is a time to be happy and celebrating. This is a time to be feasting, not fasting. let's not fast because it's Monday or Thursday or a high day. Let's fast when God says fast. Jesus is absolutely correct in defending his disciples. There will be a time for sadness, a time for tears. And he knows only too well a time is coming when his fellowship with the disciples will be broken. And that time is coming, and it is coming quickly. Then that is the time to fast. Now, Jesus says, now it's all about me. My friends have me with them now. This is not about keeping your rules, the rules that you love so much. This is about me. And you do not have to be hungry to impress God. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment. Otherwise, the new piece will pull away from the old, making the tear worse. And no one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the wine will burst the skins, and both the wine and the wineskins will be ruined. No. They pour new wine into new wineskins. Wineskins in the days of Jesus were essential items. You drank wine because mostly the water was undrinkable. A new wine, it ferments. And as it does, it bubbles. I remember when I was a child, my mom used to make wine, and often we would hear it popping the corks underneath the stairs, wine going everywhere. It's bubbles from new wine that would spoil old wineskins. Skins burst, wine wasted. No one wants that, do they? But you know what? Jesus is not giving us his top 10 tips on how to be a good housekeeper. What he is saying is, you cannot fit me into your old religious ways. There is no good in your rule-bound religion. I am the way forward. I am here to change everything. My new will not fit into your unhelpful old. He's indicating that his gospel is the new way forward. And the Pharisees have added to God's law for their own benefit mostly, and were happy with the rules and regulations, and they see Jesus as just another teacher who is setting up his own ways. Same today. People see Jesus as just another bloke who went against the rules. Yeah, sure, he had some positive values, good qualities. He had wise things to say. He's good, but he's not God. If people today have any sense of God, and of course many people do, often their belief is that they want to please him. Then we must live by a set of rules that he has set down. Follow them rigorously, and then God will be pleased with me. And this is a comfortable way of thinking, isn't it? Because if we stick with the rules, then God is pleased with us. Then we're in the God team. We've got God sorted. That's what the Pharisees were doing. They had God's rules which they had added to and twisted for their own benefit. But they were utterly devoted to keeping them. So therefore, God must be pleased. We see other religions today based on performing to the rules. Say the right things, do the right things, pray in the right times of day, fast for 1 day 1 month per year, and at least once in your lifetime go on a pilgrimage. Do all this and God will be pleased with you. But let's not condemn these people. Let's not call them stupid just yet. Don't we live by the rules set down for us and by us? Take communion, whether you're right with your church family or not, whether you're right with God or not. Say the right words in the right order, light the candles, don't light the candles, have flowers in church, don't have flowers in church. Be respectful. Give away some of your money. The rules, they're endless, and pretty much we are happy to live by them. Do this and you will be just fine. You will be right with God. Of course, most of the rules are absolutely good and proper, and we should keep them. But it is when the rule becomes religious rituals that you follow to the letter for God to be pleased, then it is the rituals that you have your eye on rather than Jesus. Jesus came with a new teaching. Honouring him is the way to please God. He gives his life as an offering to the world. The question posed by the imagery of the wedding, will you ditch all of your unnecessary rituals? Will you come to the wedding feast and celebrate? Come and eat and be filled. Will you make room in your life for Jesus? In your already full life, will you be a new wineskin for the ever-expanding good news? And you know, we are completely weak. We are utterly unworthy of what Jesus offers. This is our rule book. How many of us live by it? And I mean, really live by it? We can't, can we? And do you know why we can't? Because we can't. I want to, but I'm not Jesus. Even though he knows that we are weak and disobedient and we make up the rules to suit our own lives, even though he knows that we are utterly unworthy of his love, unworthy of the security we have in him, the hope we find in him, utterly unworthy of his faithfulness to us, his trust, his truth, his loyalty, utterly unworthy of his devotion to us. Even though he knows, yet he still offers much. Jesus is unique because he is God and he offers himself. Amen.